What's going on, you guys? Slumpy here, and we are back from the Portland Regionals here with one of our competitors that I'll let you take it away. What is your name and what happened this weekend?
My name is Jordan Anker, aka Jordan Widow Anker, on Facebook.
Make sure you guys check out his TCG. Widow
Yeah,
Anker.
I do got the Widow Anker TCG. Went X1-1. Basically did not top. I got ninth. Punted the final. If I would have won my last match, I would have won the regional. Unfortunately, it just did not go my way. But I wanted to showcase my deck that I played. It's like the new strategy with the Thereon stuff, and I just wanted to talk about my deck. I know a lot of people were asking me about it, so I figured I'd just make a video, and then you kind of get to see what my deck build is and some of the logic behind the cards and stuff. And where I'll admit there's some shortcomings in the deck list, but you know, it's the first event, the first time I ever played the deck. Never played the deck, like didn't test it all, literally built it. I was scrambling for cards in the morning to like finish it. So, and thanks, shout out to Danny and Tristan for helping me build it like the night before, and then kind of just basically build the whole deck off theory and without actually testing it.
Yeah. So before we get into the deck,
I wouldn't really recommend. You should test your decks.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It was kind of crazy because I walked into this regional as well, not have played the deck that I played in person. You guys will see me and Tristan's deck profile next week after Hartford because we don't want to reveal anything. This will be posted right after the regional.
Yeah, I'm not going to Hartford, but this deck is going to be there, so you definitely need to like look at kind of what the decks are playing, so you prepare yourself.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and get to the deck profile, and then we can get into all the random stuff, so that people can get to the good part right now.
Yeah, for sure. So the deck list, it's the ABC Thereon and Brave, or the Adventure package. So for the ABC portion, I played 2A, 2B, 2C. I didn't want to maximize and go like 3 on anything. You don't really want to open these cards are kind of bricks, like you really just want to open the Union Hanger, but you want to have 2 full sets, so that way like you can make 2 busters, you know, or if you get like, you know, if you only play like, let's say 1 of and it gets DD crowed, well then you can't go into ABC, so like you obviously have to just play 2 of each. And the effects of these cards are actually like insane, and I'll kind of go over that with a different card, but yeah, just 6, I think that's correct. I wouldn't play 3B, you just don't need to. And then 1 Union Driver. Do not play more than 1 of this. This card is, you know, it's the Garnet. Like, you obviously don't want to open it, but at the same time, like, you just play 1. You know, it's just correct. You only play 1 Garnet. And then 3 Union Hanger. This card is a 1-card buster with the extra deck, the way it's built. And 1-card buster is crazy. So, this is probably the best card in the deck, I'll be honest. If this resolves and you get unchecked, like, you're in a very good position. Going on, so this is the Thereon stuff. So I'll be honest, I played 3 King and then 2 Coliseum, but I think that the reverse ratio is actually correct, because you never want to see this in multiples, because like if you open this without like your graveyard set up, it just does nothing. And then Coliseum is actually good, even like if this gets ashed, like it's still a good card because you can stop attacks, and like you get to revive this, and like you get your engine going better. So in hindsight, this should just be the 3rd Coliseum. And then also, like, I mean, if you're picking up the cards, these are expensive, so pick up 2, right? And then get 3 of this. Also, this card's really cool too, in the sense that it did come up one time where I equipped a king off of a king, so then you get the boost, and then like you can also, like, another cool thing I feel like people weren't reading was like most people are tributing himself, because obviously that's like how you play the deck, right? But you can also just tribute from your hand, so that comes up when you just like need to keep the body on board, so you don't get OTK'd from like Sword Soul and other decks like that. Rounding out the little like field spell portions of the deck. 1 Mystic Mine, 1 Set Rotation, and 1 Terraforming. I won 5 games off Mystic Mine. I'll be honest, this card was insane. Game 1, if I'm going second, I just literally go for this, and then I just pass every turn. I feel like people were not respecting Mystic Mine, and I proved it in every matchup. The only matchup that it didn't work out was in the final in game 1. I put my opponent on, he was playing Sword Soul, and I put him on, if you're not playing Circle, I win. And he was playing Circle. So I ended up losing that game, which was fine because I was willing to take the risk. Also, I should say another thing about this card. So everyone, like, you have to think of this card as not just like, oh, I activate Mystic Mind, this is my win con. This is also a really good tempo card because even if they play the outs, like the odds are they, especially like builds now are like 45, 48, you see 50 card builds all the time. So, okay, let's say they're maining the 3 twin. This card is a really good tempo card to like, if you're really, really far behind, you can Mystic Mine and then try to like recollect your hand. And then like, you get to the point where, let's say you have 6 cards in your hand, you can start pitching pieces and then you can just like set up your buster and then like explode out from there and just win the game. Some more good cards. These are kind of just like staples in my opinion. I think if Droplet is just not in your main deck, something's wrong, or you're playing a deck that like can just break boards really well. But this deck, it doesn't have problems breaking boards, like it's pretty good, but this card is just like insane in this deck specifically because like when you open the pieces, you can just pitch them to grave. It's hard to say like too much more about Droplet. It's fucking Droplet, I wanted to play 3 hand traps, or sorry, not 3 hand traps. I wanted to play these 6 hand traps specifically. They're really good against the Despia, and that was like going into the regional. That's really what everyone was thinking is the best deck. That opinion might change honestly within a week. People might just start playing like Sword Soul might be the best deck, like who knows, but this is really good against stopping the Branded in red, obviously. And then actually, what's funny is this card, like the DD Crow, was actually just better at like winning me the Eldritch matchup. Because like stopping the Eldritch from just ever touching the board makes that deck like basically feel free. And then Ash is kind of on the same token. Like this stops obviously the Branded Fusion. But like hitting like the Elixir and like those other rogue decks, like this card just goes crazy. And then this was definitely, I gotta say, like the MVP card of this deck. So I tried to keep the deck list relatively small because I wanted this card to be very impactful. And like every time I resolved this, it just felt like insane. It just felt like the best card. I know some people are gonna play this deck with the Magician Souls. And I honestly, I've been playing base. I've been playing a lot of the decks because I love the adventure cards. Like, it's some of my favorite cards in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. And the problem with the souls is they can like help. It can like help brick your hands. Like, if you look at like hands where you brick, it's usually where you're drawing like 2 illusion or like 2 souls, and you just have like the redundancy of the cards. Prosperity is nice because it's, if you're going to play souls, I think you should play 2 illusion, 2 souls. And you play prosperity, you only need to play 3. So it's 1 less card in your main deck, which, I mean, just helps you see your better cards more often, right? Like your crazy one of like set rotation. But the best thing about this card is like you get to see your side deck, and like, I feel like side decking right now, you get access to the cards that are just like turn enders, like the blowout cards, like D-Barrier, Anti-Spell. Like my logic for this deck, going into like games 2 and game 3 is like every time I would banish 6, and like I just grab the purple card because the purple card means I win. Especially in like when you set up like the Griffin negate or the Thereon negate, and then you have the trap backed up, like you're just gonna win those games. So yeah, this card is great, and it's also obviously just a nice consistency card. And then obviously I was talking about the adventure stuff. So you have Foolish, really the only targets you're going to send are these. And then the Griffin Rider, the Illegal Knight, the Fateful Adventure, the Draco Back, and the 3 Rite of Ermezer. This package is crazy. I think a lot of people read this card, the Illegal Knight. I mean, this is like the only card to really talk about. Everyone knows the rest. People read this card and are like, oh, it's only for going second builds. But this is actually just really crazy going first too. Like if you go first, you can set this up There's a play I did against Branded, and like I did it every single Branded I played. If I got to my right, I would search for this instead of Griffin Rider. So what I would do is when they go Branded in red and you have your token not Branded, Branded Fusion, you chain the Illegal Knight, so you summon it. So then when they make their Lubellion, they're gonna go like, Lubellion chain 1, and then like Tragedy chain 2. You chain Illegal Knight chain 3, and then you just bounce the Lubellion back to the extra deck, and then they can't make Mirror Jade. And like every single time it happened, like obviously this is like the new deck, so people aren't really fully like aware like of the play, but like I think the counterplay to that is pretty difficult, and it's hard to read too if you don't search this. And like there's a lot of games where you'll just open this and it's like a really nice surprise factor. This also comboed really well with the card in my side deck, being Anti-Spell. So like if you're playing against Flunder, or like other decks that like need field spells or whatever, they'll set their field spell after you Anti-Spell them, and then on your turn you Illegal Knight and then bounce it back. So then they're just like set back even further than they already were. But anyways, yeah, this card is really, really, really strong. It definitely way overperformed than I thought it would, like in theory. And then the last two cards are the Unauthorized Reactivation. Every single time I activated this card, my opponent had to read it. I don't think a single person knew what it did. This card is so good. Like, honestly, this is like the best quick play as far as like beating out chain links. And I'll show you like the scenarios I'm talking about. Like, so I had a duel against the guy was playing the Dynamorphia deck, and he was playing like Branded Dynamorphia, and he ended on Dragoon, and he goes and I had the Thereon, the Regulus. Here, I'll pull it up. So he goes activate Branded Fusion, and then I had the Thereon on board, and then I had the Thereon in hand. So I go negate the Branded Fusion, and then he goes negate my Thereon with the Dragoon, and then I chain this as chain link 3, and then I just slap an A on it, and now this card is unaffected by monster effects, so I win the chain link. And then the Branded Fusion doesn't resolve, and like you just win the game. And then the other thing that's cool about this card too is like you can chain it to like Dark Ruler no more, so you can slap on a B Buster Drake onto your ABC Dragon, so it makes it so like you can still use the effect to banish and tag out. And then you can also use it against trap decks. You just slap on C, and then you can use this for like any machine monster. So you can use it for like the Thereon or the Buster or just the other pieces, because this is also a starter. Because like if you open like A and this, you can just activate this, summon the Union Driver, and then you get combo that way. It's basically like like a mini Union Hanger, or a mini Union Hanger. So that's the main deck. It's 44. I think as far as the ratios, there's definitely some adjustments you can make. But overall the deck performed really well, and I think keeping it to a small, like as close to 40 as possible with the prosperities is like super helpful. You want the extra deck or side deck?
Yeah, we can do extra.
Oh yeah, okay. So extra. So I'll be honest, I probably only made half the extra deck. The rest was just getting banished off prosperity. Yeah. But the ones that came up, like I'll show you the ones that are like super important. So like the mandatory ones, and then the rest are kind of flex spots. Yeah. IP Masquerena is probably the best link in the deck. Because you get like the two pieces. If you open Union Hanger plus a piece, you search out C and then make IP, and then C summon the other piece, and then you get your Buster. And on their turn, you tag out, you use the Buster to banish, and then you tag out, you get all your pieces, and then it lets you go into like really broken links like the Underworld Goddess or the Appaloosa and stuff like that. But I'll get to those in a second. But yeah, IP is crazy. This card's so good. Platinum Gadget is mandatory. I had to ask maybe like 50 people, and then because I just didn't have this card, no one had this card. Shout out my homeboy Tian. Man came through last minute. Like I literally was like, I have to submit my deck list and I can't find this card. And it's like, I got like a freaking $3,000 deck and I don't have a 10-cent card. Like I was like literally about to feel so stupid playing like without the card. But yeah, I mean this literally is just for the Union Hanger like one card ABC Buster. So like you have to play it. And it's also kind of cool that like you can, so it has a restriction that you can't link with it on the turn it's summoned, but then after that you can like usually, I'll show you real quick. You can keep it alive because if you get to the Coliseum, then they can't crack over it, and then it's just like a nice link to body that you can use for like going into your higher link ratings. The Bujinki, this card's really cool, like in theory. I think I only ended up using it twice. It basically lets you, it's kind of like a platinum gadget, but if you open another piece, then it lets you make the Exceed. So like if you're gonna make the Exceed anyways, you make this. So then you go into the Exceed for free, and then it lets you like pop spells and traps with the other effect. The real downside to this card is it cannot be used as link material ever. Like it's just hard. It's like rusty. Like you just can't use it as link material, and it's only 1500. It's kind of small. So not like I really don't like that aspect of the card, but otherwise I think it is worth playing at least one. Board blocker, never made it. This is like every time I activated Prosperity, this is the first guy to go. So in theory, this is just like, you know, you get a piece out of your hand, but I mean, there's other ways to do it, so I don't think this is super necessary. Nightmare Phoenix, I mean, it's Nightmare Phoenix, not much more to say. Discard, pop, is, you know, is good. Same thing, Unicorn. Unicorn's nice, obviously, you know, you can make it with IP, make it into an interruption. This deck, I'll be honest though, like you're not really making this off IP very often. This is more just like, this has more utility with your own Mystic Mind, like being able to like shuffle it back and do stuff like degenerate stuff like that. There's cool plays you can do with that. Access code, I mean, you know, this plus Buster, like you're winning, GG's, and that's like super easy for this deck. The only other deck that like reminds me of that can like just kill you like off like super minimal cards kind of reminds me of like Tri Brigade, because they would just make like access plus like the Omen. Like it feels like that sometimes. Appaloosa, this card is really good in this deck because obviously like you make this card, like I think this deck makes Appaloosa the most busted possible way because you make it off IP, so it can't be destroyed by card effects. It's 3200, and then it can't be run over by battle because if you have the field spell. So it's like you make this against Sword Soul. Like if you get to this board off against Sword Soul, it's probably like one of the best things that you can do. It's very difficult for them to out it. And then like obviously, you know, they're gonna try to like manage. You just keep negating. Underworld Goddess. This came up a couple times. This card is so good against Despia. Like it has so much application because one, Mirror Jade cannot banish it. It cannot be super polyed because it has a line of text that says this link summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activated card effects unless they target this card. So anything that does not target this thing is just irrelevant. Like it just doesn't care. And then also it's nice because you can like, it's one of the cleanest outs because like normally if you want to out the Mirror Jade, like especially the people that like, you know, they're not vanishing it and then summoning it back, they're just leaving it because it's a problem card, you know. Like obviously you have the Illegal Knight and the Draco back and the Unicorn to out it, but then this is just like another way that you can just like contact it off, and then it leaves the game, or it leaves the field by game mechanics and doesn't trigger the end phase effect, which is like super nice. And then it also has like just other application of like blanking out the board. It's 3K. It's just beefy, you know. Like if you're playing this deck and you're not playing this, like you're doing it wrong. And the way you make this is you make IP and then you tag out Buster, and that's everything that you need. And then you just use your opponent's monster. So I think, yeah. So that's all the links. You could cut board blocker, honestly. You don't need that card. For the Busters, you play 3. It's kind of funny because D-Barrier against ABC is like actually not that good because you have so many engines, because I mean like you can end on like the Griffin negate, the Regulus negate, and then like, you know, your Exceeds and then the links. Like you actually don't even need to make this card some of the times. And like if you're exciting a D-Barrier against this deck, I think that's wrong. Like 100% I think that's wrong. But this card is amazing. It's really funny like how many people had to pick this card up and read it, and they're like, yo, this card's actually crazy, what the heck. And the cool thing about this card is it lets you play through like every floodgate in the game. because if they have there can be only one, you get all your pieces, slap it down. They have rivalry, cool. You just stick with machines. They have Gozen, okay. Use all the pieces. The platinum gadget is light, so you can get it that way. And then like skill drain, you use the effect, discard to target, and then chain, pop it. So this card just plays through every floodgate. It's 3K, it floats. Like it's actually crazy that this card, I think it came out like 2016, is like just a menace in the current format. And then the last cards were number 60, Dweller, and Baguska. All of these cards are really good, like for their specific roles. Baguska is really mostly for like Flunder. It's really hard for them to play through this. Dweller is for like obviously graveyard decks, like a lot of rogue stuff has a problem with this. Swordsoul, this is really good against Swordsoul. You stop all the 10-y like floats and stuff. And then number 60 is good for two reasons. One is it lets you OTK. I had a line where I had to use like the double pump on a Regulus to make it, I think, like 56. And then plus this, plus the platinum gadget, and that's like over 8,000, which is kind of cool because that's like super easy for the deck. And then this also, if you don't open Prosperity and you don't open like one of your hard floodgates or when you side deck, you can just try to like rip into it, like the draw 2 discard 1. Just keep in mind that if you do Prosperity, you won't be able to do that effect. So, or if you draw into Prosperity, you should probably just pitch it, or like it depends on the matchup, right? So anyways, so that's the extra deck. Yeah, there's definitely room for improvement here, I'm not gonna lie, but for a base, like it felt really good. I didn't feel like I was really missing anything ever. Okay, and then the side deck, I gotta say the best part about the whole deck list was the side deck was phenomenal, and I really want to shout out Danny because we both we spent a while thinking about the side deck, and I felt like I had every matchup covered really well. Starting off the 3D barrier, this card is probably the best card of the format, I would say right now. I mean, I think that's really going to change very quickly, but in the current format, this card is just busted. It's a turn skip. I won countless games just flipping this and just getting GG's. Anti-spell, 3. I mean, if you're playing branded and someone flips this on you, you know how good this is. Like I played the deck for a minute, and like every time someone flipped this, like I'm like, cool, I hate this game. Like I hate my life. Like this is terrible. So like, why would you not play it? Like it's just GG's. Also, this card's crazy against Flunder. Like they can't do anything because like if you open this against Flunder, like your negates are so much better because then they can't really change. Like they just summon their guy and then you just negate and then like they pass their turn. They have to have like a crazy hand to like be able to out this or like to be able to like play through it correctly. 3 Droll. This is for all like the Drytron, Flunder, like all the decks that just go crazy search. Pretty much every like degenerate deck like has to search like crazy to be able to make like the really nasty boards. I think the Punk deck, I believe this is good against Punk. I'm not 100% on that, but yeah, Droll's crazy. Like 100% should be an airside deck. And then rounding it off, the back row removals. 2 twin, 1 red reboot. I mean, I'll play 3 of this as you could, but this just kind of covers everything. I think twin is the best spell because anti-spell's in the format, and obviously you're playing a spell deck, so you need to be able to clear it. Anyways, yeah, so there's that, and then the last is the evenly matched, the God card. There's matchups where you just draw this, like if you're playing Eldritch, like this is the card you fear, so why not play it, right? Like they don't really have an answer outside of like Solemn Judgment. I mean, even if they have like the Heavenly Lord, like cool, I'll banish everything anyways. Like put you on 1 card. And then like I said, like this deck plays really well through floodgates, so like cool, keep your skill drain, cool, I'll just buster it away anyways. So yeah, that's the deck list. I had a really good tournament experience. I basically just going through some of my matchups real quick. Round 1 I got a bye because the organization they ran, they kept in people that pre-regged and didn't show up, so whatever, I got a free win there. Round 2 I played against Despia, Mystic Mind him, game 1. Game 2 just like OTK'd like crazy through him. I guess I don't need to go through all my matchups. Some notable things that I can talk about was I played against a guy playing the. I think I already talked about it, where I used the reactivation to. He was playing the Dynamorphia stuff, and like I equipped A onto my Thereon that I was already equipped with another Thereon, so he was 35, and he was at 500 life points, and I go to attack over the Rex turn, and he goes damage step, and I already had the A equipped, and he goes damage step effect. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, okay, so you're gonna like lose all your attack points. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna lose anything. He's unaffected. And then he was like, he like literally reached over to read the card, and he's like, oh, okay, I lose.
Yeah.
And that guy was cool. Like I felt like, you know, like you gotta read your opponent's cards, you know. I learned the hard way in the finals, so what can I say? Yeah, shout out Shell, dude. Cool guy. Congrats on. I did not believe that he was his first regional top. I was like, there's no shot.
Yeah.
That guy's way too good of a player to only top one regional. But huge congratulations to him for first place. You know, I wanted it, but it just didn't work out. But that being said, like this deck, I'll be honest, I should have won. If when that replay comes up, you'll watch it. Like I absolutely should have won. It was a pilot error, not the deck. I think the deck was working really well. So.
Yeah, and we'll be going over that later on. Once that actually releases, we'll be doing a commentary over that so that you guys can also see some of the notable regional rounds. Me and Tristan did not opt to play on stream. One, because we were trying to see where the lists for Hartford, and two, because it was just gonna take longer for the tournament, so we decided not to. But
yeah. Oh, and then like some final remarks. You know, like this is literally like what day one of the deck being like actually played in regionals and like an actual like what tier 2 event.
Yeah.
So and like it was crazy the conversion rate of these decks. Like just even that our one tournament. I think this deck going forward is so much potential for like innovative like tech cards and like really cool like theory and stuff. And I feel like this deck has an insane ceiling. And I'm definitely looking forward to see where this deck goes. As you notice, like I'm not playing like the Lily Bell or like I think it's called Lily Bell, but like there's even other like Thereon cards that are like also super good. I just kind of wanted to focus on the ABC, but yeah. So I think this deck is super good. Definitely try it out on DB. Like you need to test this card or test the deck if you're going to Hartford. Like, you know, make sure that you know what the deck's lines are and where to interrupt it. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, well, thank you so much for the deck profile. Again, if you guys haven't checked out Jordan's TCG player, make sure to go check that out. You can also add him on Facebook.
Yeah, say what's up.
Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. This is something out.